Hi everybody, I've got those group project directions and forums ready to roll for you. So I just want to show you where to find those resources in e-learning and then walk you quickly through what I'm looking for. So here in the main course resources, a module in e-learning in the content area of the course, I've added a new submodule called Group Project Resources. Okay, this begins with a PDF overview of what we are going to be looking for. Now, I divided you into groups, and I'll show you where to find those in just a second. Here's what I want your groups to do. And the deadlines I mentioned are being pushed back. I'm going to update the syllabus, and I'll let you know exactly what that's going to be. But I'm anticipating having this due like the week before the last week of the semester, which will give a little bit of a gap between this due date and the due date of that final written project that you'll be preparing for me. What you're creating in your group is a presentation. And that presentation is going to be focused on adaptations of the works that we've read in the class so far. We began with Journey to the West. Right away, I shared with you a few videos of an adaptation of that novel into a Chinese opera. And so that's the sort of thing you're going to be looking at. Now, I'm giving you two options for this adaptation, and you can read this more carefully later on your own. But your group will have to decide whether, first of all, you would like to conduct an analysis project. And what you'll do for this analysis project is find an adaptation of the work that you want to work with. Now, an important distinction is this. An adaptation is not the same as a performance. So a stage performance of Moliere, of Tartuffe, is not an adaptation. It's just a performance of that in its intended medium. So look for something that usually crosses genres. So a novel that is made into a movie or a play. Candide, for example, has been made into an operetta by Leonard Bernstein. That sort of thing. That's an adaptation. A movie, Journey to the West, has been made into a number of movies, including a fairly recent one called Forbidden Kingdom. It's a loosely based adaptation, but it's an adaptation nonetheless. So you can find an adaptation, okay, and then as a group agree on the adaptation, talk about it, and then your product, you'll be producing a presentation. I'm going to give you a few resources from which you can choose, but you can also find one of your own for creating this presentation, which will focus on analyzing that adaptation and looking at how it reflects and how it transforms the original, and ask some questions as to why that might be the case and what the reception of that adaptation was, and then what your experience of this whole process has been. The second option is a creative project in which your group will create an adaptation of a work that we've examined. And here what you do is you choose or you agree on a work and then agree on a genre. And again, if you're looking at an adaptation, you are taking a work in one genre and turning it into another genre. So a novel will become a play or movie, a movie script. I don't expect you to film a movie. You could even incorporate the visual arts if you wanted to, or you could do a combination of them. The creative adaptation really opens up a lot of potential doors for you to exert yourself. One key with this, and I'd say one key with either of these, is to early on introduce yourself in your group and let people know what your interests and abilities are. Okay, so this is kind of an overview. Read this carefully, and of course, and read this right away, and post any questions you got to that help forum so we can straighten out. This is a new project, so it hasn't been debugged yet. So there may be things in here which are unclear, or things which I need to define more clearly, or it just might be as you read it, you overlook something. For the grading of this, it is very important that you do your absolute best to contribute to your group, and that the groups divide the work fairly so everybody is able to contribute a substantial portion. At the end of the process, you will be evaluating each other, and I will use those evaluations to determine the individual grades. So if your group project scores 100%, for example, it's excellent, it's beautiful, but you haven't done anything. or your group has agreed that you did some things, but your contribution was very weak, you are not going to get 100% of that grade. Okay, and this is designed really to build in a degree of fairness, because what so often happens with these group projects, there'll be one or two people who are really on the ball right out of the gate, and those are two cliches, I apologize for that. They are on the ball out of the gate, and that really is it's also a mixed metaphor, because why a horse coming out of a gate would be on a ball, I'm not sure. That would be some sort of, I guess, circus performance. Anyhow, um, if you sometimes have two people or one person who really is working hard right from the start, and that person winds up earning everybody a high grade, and others either don't know how to fit themselves into that person's process, or some people just slack off. And it's especially hard in these online classes. It can be difficult coordinating things through these online forums. I'll show you what I've created for you to help you do that, to help facilitate that, but it can still be difficult. Okay, let me show you two other things here in your group project resources. You have been assigned to one of three groups. I have created a discussion forum for your group. You should not see all three of these here. You should only see yours. So if you're in group 2, you'll only see group 2 here. If you're in group 1, you should only see group 1. I'm the teacher, so I'm seeing all of them all at once. This is a discussion forum which you should use to discuss and work on your group project. Now, you're not required to use only this. One thing you can do is, if you come to the groups area, and again, you should only see your own group here, you can email people in your group. You can set up Skype conversations. If people are available for a teleconference, or available to meet on campus, and that's what you want to do, or meet at Barnes & Noble, and that's what you want to do, you can do that. Now, I would say if you're requiring a synchronous meeting, in other words, everybody being logged on to something at the same time, or if you're requiring a face-to-face meeting, make sure everybody can actually do that, because in online classes, some people are far away, some people have crazy schedules, and that's why they're taking an online class. Or if somebody can't be there, be sure you don't penalize them for not being there. You can't require somebody to meet you face-to-face, or even to be on the phone at a specific time, if that's just not working out for them. If someone in your group can't work that way, then keep your discussions by email or in your group forum. Okay. Here are three of the resources that I mentioned and I've linked to inside the course. Another one, if you do a PowerPoint presentation, let me know. SlideShare is a resource you can use for sharing PowerPoints. You upload them and then you share the link on SlideShare. The problem with trying to upload a presentation to e-learning is if it's big, and it might be very big, then you're going to have trouble getting e-learning to accept the file. If it's too big, e-learning won't accept it. Okay, so if you do a PowerPoint and you really want, it's what you're most comfortable with, use SlideShare to share it. If you can't find it through Google, I can give you the link. Wix is a web page creation tool, and you see some of the ones I created. Here's a resource I created for my last promotion process. So it's a site that links to some of my accomplishments, and it's got my Second Life avatar dressed as Spock, which we don't need to say anything more about that. Weebly is another resource for creating web pages. These both allow you to plug in multimedia pretty readily. Here is, I don't want to learn more. No, thank you. How do I make you go away? There we go. And I don't need this. Okay, well, anyhow, you can see my website behind it. This is, again, it's a website that I created for course on teaching online. Yes, I don't need to see this because, okay, these are new elements. There we go. So again, it's a web resource I've created. You can't see the whole page because I have the screen a little bit smaller here. There we go. So if I drag this around here, you'll see a little bit more of it. But at any rate, Weebly is another tool you can use to create web pages. And yes, at Second Life, again, I did some an endowed teaching chair in teaching in Second Life, and then I incorporated into a course I was teaching here. So Prezi is a resource for creating presentations. Again, it's nice and it looks kind of snazzy because it will move you from point to point by kind of zooming. All of these, the neatest thing about them is, and I'm not sure if I've embedded video here, this is something I did for a comp class, yeah, I've got a still photo in there. I'm trying to think if I've got video in here or not. You can embed video into these as well. So you can make your project multimedia. And if there are other ways you'd like to present a YouTube video or something like that, really it's up to you. And this is for both of these, the analytical or the creative approach. You can be very creative in how you put that presentation together. I really want you to have fun with this, which is why I've opened it now and extended the deadline so there's no last minute crunch. Do not drag your feet on doing this, though, because it will become a very painful process if you are at the last minute trying to pull something together in your group. Okay, that's it. Again, if you've got questions, post them to the help forum, drop me an email. I can do a follow-up video if needed, or I can just answer them there. And start exploring, start getting ideas together. I would post to your group this week with initial ideas, or at least introducing yourself and saying, hi, I'm Ted, and I paint murals, and I would love to do a mural for my contribution, blah, blah, blah. Or whatever. Share your, or if you're great on word processing, you're good with computers, you're very organized. Just having somebody plan due dates and keep people on track, that's a significant contribution. If that's your gift, and people agree that that can be your key contribution, then with my blessing, as long as they afterwards agree that you did your fair share on the project, then you're fine. Okay, so any questions, post them to the help forum, and I will respond as quickly as I possibly can.